Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. It's Tuesday, the 4th of February. I'm Gav, and this is Phil, and we're going to preview Liverpool against Spurs in the second leg of the semi final of the Carabao Cup on Thursday at Anfield. Welcome to everyone watching. Welcome to all our members who are in the chat. Phil, this feels like a bit of a weird one, right? Because I'm not going to lie, I am literally gone blinkered on the league. And
right.
I'm literally going, no player that starts in the league for us should start in any other game in any other competition, which I know is ridiculous, right?
Right.
But are we in I suppose the approach of Liverpool here? Are we in the realm where, listen, you can actually go really strong in this game. You can rest people at the weekend against Plymouth, and then you're ready for Everton next week, or should we not be risking anyone? Or am I being a lunatic, basically?
Normally, I'd say to you, you're being a lunatic because it's the League Cup and it's the only cup worth playing for in England, right?
Yeah.
The only one. The FA Cup's a waste of time. We should never play football. We shouldn't even put a team out in the FA Cup. We should send out the under-20, under-12s.
That's what they'll do at the weekend.
Under-20-12s. The under-20-12s. That's what they should do, right?
Right.
Not even the under-12s, the under-20-12s. But like this year, no, we should play the under-20-13s in this one and the under-20-12s in the FA Cup game at the weekend. I know people are going to say, normally, listen, I've been on the show for a long time, way too long, loads of long times that's been on it, right? And I've always held, as anyone who knows who's watched the show and all its inceptions and variations that we've had, I've always said the League Cup has a special place in my heart, and it genuinely does, normally, right? Not this year. Has no place in my heart, soul, or anything at all whatsoever. And I don't think we should even be involved in the broadcast of the game. Just stick out anyone.
Okay, well, I thought I was going extreme, and now you're going, listen, we shouldn't turn up at all. But
have a break.
The only thing that makes me feel like, yes, Gav, you are indeed a lunatic, is he's managed this season in a way where we thought, like, he's just going to keep playing. Arne Slot, this is. He's going to keep playing the same 11 every game. And we're like, Jesus, we have to knock off one of these cups, if not two, because he just keeps playing them. But over the last couple of weeks, you've seen FA Cup games where he's put out, like, literally 16-year-olds playing in it. He goes away to PSV during the week and he's like, don't care if I finish first and second in this group or this league group. I'm putting this team out. They're nice and fresh for the weekend. They win the game at the weekend. You know, Kev says there, you can't really go into a derby on the back of 10 days off. You go strong as possible on Thursday. It does actually make, when I actually read or listen to actually what I'm saying, I'm kind of going, Gav, what are you talking about? This is probably the perfect scenario for him. He can. We've played on Saturday. We don't play for 5 days till Thursday. He puts them out again, and then he says, lads, you're playing on Thursday. A lot of you, if not all of you, won't play on Sunday, and I'll see you back here next Wednesday. Another 6-day turnaround for Everton. It's actually, whether you like cups or not, the fact that they're there now and he can rest players and move them around, it feels a bit like the perfect scenario to go strong, doesn't it?
No. There's no circumstance whatsoever we should be risking anyone that's going to be involved in a league match against Everton in this game. I don't care what anyone says about rest and all that type of rubbish. Like, they're going to end up having to play 100 games a week in the space of a couple of weeks. If people have very short-term memories, we were top of the league last April, and literally, not only did the wheels fall off, the doors fell off, the boot fell off, the back door fell off, the roof fell out, the windows caved in. We won 3 of our last 8 because the players were so flogged at that stage. And remember, Klopp was one who liked to play only 10 players a week, right, and just rotate one fella around, but it was the same 10 all the time. At least Slot's done, but I still think he hasn't rotated enough. I'm going to be straight with you. I don't think he has. And I think at times when people are talking about sluggish starts, and even the game against Brentford at the weekend, or Bournemouth at the weekend, like, yeah, I thought we made more of it than we should have made of it, if that makes sense. Because there is, I think there's a bit of fatigue creeping in. I thought that you've seen it here and there. We've started conceding more goals than we did at the start of the season, and that's mental fatigue. It doesn't have to be physical fatigue. It's just mental fatigue of trying to uphold your standards all the way through. So if you can get breaks at this point in time, we're in February. You've got March is going to be crazy. April's going to be manic. And then you've got the run to the end of May. And let's be honest about this. The league is all that matters. And then if we can get to the Champions League and win that as well, that's all that matters. These 2 cups, mean nothing, right? And in the longer term, if Postecoglou was to win a League Cup, you might guarantee that he's there next year with another handy 6 points on the board.
Yeah.
Right?
But I agree.
This is chess, my friend. It's not checkers. It's chess. It's chess.
Look, honestly, if you, I'd have no problem if Arne Slot turned around tomorrow and went, listen, nobody that started against Bournemouth is going to play against Spurs or Plymouth. But you talk about not what you call it, rotating enough and sluggish starts and stuff like that. Like in fairness, we go into a game against Bournemouth the other day where you can have the attitude of like, it's only Bournemouth, but they were 11 games unbeaten in the league. They've had some big wins in that time. They've beaten Man City at home. They've beaten Arsenal at home. And all right, City's probably not a huge claim to fame this season, but Arsenal probably is. Arsenal have lost 3 league games all season, and they go in there and it's one of those where you have to just dog it out. That's what makes champions. All those sort of narratives. My thing on it is, as much as I want us to just protect everyone in this big bubble for the league, I kind of do understand where, listen, these lads can't play Bournemouth on a Saturday and not play for 10 or 11 days till they play Everton. It doesn't work. But I know what you're saying. You're ticking players over in terms of match fitness is absolutely fine, but we can go out on there on Thursday and two big players get an injury and rules them out for 4 or 5 weeks each, and then you're going to go, fuck. But is that the risk you have to take? Because if those players don't play, you could say, geez, they're coming to that Everton game, they haven't played in 11 days. That could, people would say that's fresh. I don't think it is. I think if you can get a 5 or 6 day break between a game for a Premier League footballer, I think that's perfect, and that's what he's looking for here.
For me, it's all about the league. Nothing matters. Nothing matters, Gav. Nothing matters outside the league.
I'm not saying, like, don't get me wrong.
And it's just like I'm seeing some madness. Like, there's Kev talking about, they'll be cold going into the derby. Yeah, because they won't be up for a derby. They'll just go, do you know what? This is just another run-of-the-mill game. Yada yada yada. Or Sam Tandy going, do you remember when Klopp went and we'd won nothing? And when he says it was only a better... No, we looked gone on our feet for the last 6 games of that league. If you remember that league title race, we scraped ourselves over the line to finish a point behind. And when we got to Madrid, the wheels had fallen off the wagon at this stage, right? Like, if you can get a break now for those players, remember we had this imaginary Christmas break that seems to have vanished after 2 years of
no, it's not Christmas break. What he just went, listen, instead of playing every 48 hours, you're just playing every 72. That's basically what they've done. That's all they've done for the Christmas break. There's no break.
And then they said you can have, and then they said you can have a week off at the end of January, right? And then you didn't get it anymore. And then it was just like, no, that week, no, that. It's like if they just decided to get rid of Bridget's Day now in Ireland after us having a nice little bank holiday, and it's just like, no, you can't have that anymore. No, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, we have a league to win. And had Arsenal dropped points to City or lost to City at the weekend, I'd probably agree with you about going a bit stronger on Thursday, right? Didn't. So gotta shove your chips in at some stage. And what people are missing here is what you're saying is, right? This is what you're saying. You're saying that the backup players that we have that we keep going are great options to rotate into the squad, aren't good enough to beat Tottenham Hotspur.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. You see, I think. Spurs.
Bradley at right full.
No, but Spurs is going to
somebody at centre back.
Spurs is going to pick a side.
Gomez.
Well, Gomez isn't fit. But the thing for me with this is that it all depends. Do you absolutely want to get to the final? Like, this is Arne Slot, right? Do you absolutely want to get to the final? Yes. Right. What guarantee is what's the closest thing to a guarantee? He plays a strong side. He just plays as strong a side as he feels can win this. Now, I'm not saying he goes out and he starts the 11 against Bournemouth. He will do, Bradley, actually, because Trent doesn't look like he'd be fit. He might do a Kwanzaa with Van Dijk rather than Konate. He might Tsimikas and Robertson at the moment is a toss up as to who plays left back. He might put Jones in instead of a McAllister. That's basically, if you look at your front three or your midfield three, you probably think Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch. So he's moving one there, and then up front he'll play Salah. He might play Salah, and then you go, right, usually it's Gakpo and it's Diaz, but I'm going to change Diaz for Núñez. So all of a sudden you've made 4 changes on that side. Do you know what I mean? But like my reason at the start of this is, can we just make sure that lads aren't playing games that they might get injured in, right? But having said that, put it this way.
11 changes.
Put it this way.
11 changes.
But put it this way.
11 changes. And then make another 11 changes against Plymouth.
Yeah, but let me ask you this then. Right? If I said to you, we're going into the Spurs game, we're going to play a strong side, it's all going to be fine, and then we're going to rotate against Plymouth, and the side that we play our strongest side against Spurs, they all come through it, they get a game, they play against Plymouth, they play wherever you want, and then you go to Everton and you play the same 11 that started against Spurs, right? Would you have more confidence in them doing that, right? Would you have as much confidence in them winning at Everton if they hadn't played against Spurs, or if they had? Would you not feel like that's an awful long time not to be playing a match? Because it literally would be 11 days without a game of football. Would you be as confident?
No.
So you'd be more confident
if they hadn't played.
If they hadn't played, yeah. If none of these players played on Thursday, would you be more confident of them winning the derby than if they have played and got a game under their belt six days beforehand? Like that's how you have to weigh it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be more confident than
I have weighed it up, and I'm telling you, I'd be confident. Yeah, because you're going to get games into Chiesa, into Núñez, into Jota probably, right? You're going to give games to Endo, Kelleher, Kwanzaa, Gomez, whoever, right? That you're putting in fellas that need games because they're going to be used in the running. Like, for everyone saying, "Oh, they'll be cold," those lads will be cold coming into the game against Everton. Yeah, but if you don't play all these fellas who are on the edge looking in, right? Harvey Elliott, the works, all these lads on the edge and not getting full games. When we get into the business end, their minutes are going to be severely limited, right? In comparison to the 14 players that he's used all season long. And it's time to give them, you've 2 ideal games to give them as close to 180 minutes as possible to get more minutes under their belt. So when they hit the ground running. Like, I'm looking at Chiesa going, this fella, we've spent 10 million to bring him in, right? And he's played, 1 start and about 14 minutes apart from that outside of it. And in the game he does come on, he makes a huge, big impact in terms of how he turned that game around for us, right, in the league. So, yeah, give him the minutes. Like Núñez is like, this is it. This is crunch time. Score goals or you're gone. That's where it is, right? Let's be honest about it, and let's not beat around the bush here. This is what we're talking about. And people say, no, start strongly against Spurs.
Yeah, but
listen, I would love, and normally I'd be big. No. Normally I'm big on going, yeah, it's the League Cup, love it, let's get there. But not this time around. There's too much to risk.
Right, okay. But you don't feel you feel it's less of a risk to leave them off this week and put them in against Everton next Wednesday? Yeah? Okay. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to you about the league for a minute.
No such thing as momentum for people that... Now, listen to me. This chat's there. There's no such thing as momentum, Gav. And it's been proven by statistics. It's an imaginary thing that we like to think exists. Because momentum starts suddenly and finishes suddenly. There's no such thing as momentum. It's fact.
Unless you're going downhill on a bike.
Deal.
Momentum picks up fairly quickly if you've no brakes. Just saying.
That's physics. It's not,
but it is momentum.
Force.
You're picking up momentum going down that hill. That's all I'm saying. Just on the league side of things, because we
come here. I'm gonna jump out and jump back in because I'm very.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. You do that. Let me read us some comments. Oisin says, I've started liking the League Cup over the FA Cup since earlier in this season. Since it's over earlier in the season. Fair enough. There we go. Phil should be in there, and boom, there he goes. Let me see. Chiesa, Jota, Gomez don't have 2 games in them for a week. Possibly, yeah, possibly. Just on the league though, You know, we've touched on it there because, like, literally, honestly, I'm going into this Spurs game and I'm thinking, I want to win it. I don't care who we get in the final. I want to win it. I want to win this game. I want to, you know, to be flying. And I see the Plymouth game as one way you can really change things around. And I think it's, for me, just judging on Arne Slot's kind of way of doing things, it feels like perfect to go in and go bang, rest, bang, everything, and then we go again, and Wolves and whoever else we've got coming up. But just on the league itself, how are you feeling over? Aside from rest this fella here, don't play this fella here. How are you feeling over the league itself? 6 points clear, game in hand, which is Everton next Wednesday, which will leave us with 14 games to go. Are you liking what you're seeing?
Worst case for 6 points clear, right? Let's talk about this logically, right? I'm going to talk about it logically, and then I'm going to talk about it as a fan, right? Mm-hmm. A scarred fan, right? Yeah. That exists. So logically, we're 6 points clear, regardless of what happens, right?
Yeah.
We have a run-in which is navigable in terms of what the games that we have left, right? Yeah. And we are statistically, we're the best side in the league. We're the best defensive side in the league. We're the best attacking side in the league. We're producing more chances, more quality chances, everything. So all the underlying numbers, even if they revert to the mean, everything that's there will tell you that this team is unlikely to lose the league from the position it's in. Right? That's just again, statistical facts as opposed to opinions. Right? The problem is I'm so segmented from the facts and the stats that are behind it that I can't help but thinking we've thrown away really amazing positions, and I don't know, Gav. I'm just nervous. I'm really nervous. I'm actually really nervous about this. If we were 9 points clear, if we beat Everton 9 points clear, I'd still be as nervous because got to play City, and I know they've just been battered by Arsenal, but we got to play City, and then you've got Arsenal and Chelsea quite close together at the back end of the season, and they're not the games that seem to be catching people out. It's the games against Wolves and games against Ipswich and stuff like that seem to be catching teams out that we've done really well, but we've only lost one game all season, and if you go at it really cold and stand back logically, though, it's very hard to see us dropping enough points from here to the end of the season, and Arsenal not to drop those points from here to the end of the season for it to actually make to have that big of a turnaround. But it's not impossible, and we've dropped those points before. So the fact that I'm that scared from the amount of times we've been caught by City since 2013 in these type of things. And even last year, we were top of the table going in April, and not one of us thought we were going to win the league from there because you remember, I think we had played 2 games more than everybody else at that point in time, right?
Yeah.
And we looked a knackered team. And my biggest worry, I'll come back to it, my biggest worry is I'm just so nervous about that fatigued, knackered element of it, because essentially it's the exact same squad of players that were there that were burnt out by the end of March last year.
Listen, I think they're all very valid points. It is the same squad that was there, realistically, bar Chiesa, that was there last year. And it is that squad that, to be fair, burnout is one way of looking at it. I just think the way we managed games and the way we got way too emotional in games really undone us. I think Klopp, I love Klopp, I adore the man, and everything he's done with Liverpool. But I watched Liverpool the last quarter of last season, and the games were too emotional. There was too much about him. The way we managed games was appalling. We were winning games, then we just kept attacking and we kept doing mad stuff. This doesn't feel like that. It actually feels like we've gone on a kind of a mad curve where we started out the season really controlled. You know, when you look at the games we won, even if you look at home to Chelsea, we went and went, you have the ball. You have the fucking ball, and we'll do our business. And then we've gone through a bit of a period where it's gone a bit mad, and we've gone a bit more gung-ho, but at the same time, we have a lot of the ball. We have a lot of shots. Our XG, which I'm not a fan of, but people love, is higher than anyone else's. All that stuff. And then we seem to be coming back into this thing where you go away to Brentford. It was really controlling against Brentford. All right, it's late goals, but it was a really controlled game for me. Right, you go again. You play Ipswich, really controlled, 4-1 win, no problem. You go away to Bournemouth, and yes, they have a couple of openings and they hit the post and stuff, but overall, it's one of those where you went, do you know what? If that game goes on another 15 minutes, Liverpool probably win 3 or 4 because we controlled it at the right times, right? I get all them things, right? And, you know, you look back at last season, the players, the amount of times they're playing, but whatever it is. And listen, they have all the medical people there. They've all the people that can tell you, listen, he's ran this much and he's ran that much and he's in the red and he's in the orange and he's in whatever. And I think last season, I think that went a bit by the wayside. It was like, no, put them on the pitch, put them on the pitch, put them on the pitch. But other than that, does the league itself make you nervous? Does Arsenal make you nervous? I don't think City do anymore. Do Arsenal make you nervous? You know, if it was City, if it was City
implosion, Gav, makes me
so it's
nervous.
it's not what Arsenal may do. It's what you feel Liverpool may not be able to do is what would make you nervous.
Yeah, just there's going to be games where we win at the last minute, and there's going to be games you look really comfortable and just manage the games. That's just the way it is. But it's. I've always said you want to get to that 60-point marker as quickly as possible, right? So the 40 to 50 was completely terrifying for me because I hate that spread of 10 points, right? Yeah. And I've loved how we've more or less cut through 50 to 60 like a knife through butter in terms of amassing the amount of points we have, right? And I'd love to get up to that 60-point mark by beating Everton because mentally in my head, if you can get to 60 that early, you're then on a chase to 90. Do you know that way? So it's like you stop as a player and as a team, you stop thinking about necessarily the team behind. You start going, right, we need to get to 90 points. If we get to 90 points, we'll see where we are at the end of the season. Very hard for Arsenal to get to 90 points, if you know what I mean. So that you stop thinking about what they're doing or what their results are. You just start thinking, need to get 10 wins here. And that'll be 10 wins out of what? 14 at that stage? 15, 10 from 15.
Sorry, after the Everton one. So after the Everton, we have 14 games, 7 at home, 7 away.
Yeah, so you'd have 10 from 14, right? Like when you start, and obviously the coaches and the players and all that type of stuff won't be looking that far ahead, but it's hard not to also think that far ahead and have a target in mind.
We've 15 league games left, right?
Yeah.
If we win 10 of them, right? Win 10 and lose 5.
It's 87 points.
It's 89 points.
89 points.
Arsenal can maximum out at 92. If you win 10 games, we're on 59 points at the moment.
59. Yeah. So that's right? If you get to 90 points, I think 90 points wins.
If you win 10 games and one of those 10 is Arsenal at home, you win the league. Because City currently sit on 41. The maximum they can get now is 83, I think. Right? 42 and 41 is 83, right? Arsenal's max at the moment is 92. If you win 10 games from here on in, out of 15, you will get 89.
56, Gav.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Sorry, 56 points. So, sorry, if you win 10 games, you have 86 points, right?
Yeah.
No, sorry, I got that wrong. 86 points, okay? If you win 10 games between now and the end of the season, and one of those is against Arsenal, that will give you 86 points, and Arsenal's max is 89. That's the way I'm looking at it.
No. And listen, I completely agree with the logic you have. That's what I'm saying to you. In my head, you get 4 points. You get 4 points, right? You take the 60, and then from there, it's a chase to 90. You need to put 30 points on the board. Do you know what I mean? You actually only have to approach it like you're chasing that to stay up or something like that, and you need to just keep winning as many games as quickly as possible to get yourself into the safety zone, which you don't need because you've maximised what you can. But you know what I mean? That means that you can't be caught. You're going into the last 3 games in May or the last 4 games in May, and you only need 1 or 2 points to secure the league title. Do you know that way? So you deflate those games that you're playing against Arsenal and Chelsea because you've done your job, you've done your business up until then. But there's big ones in there. There's big ones in there in terms of what you have to play. You have to go. You have to beat Everton. You have to beat City. You have to beat Newcastle. You know what I mean? They're the games that you have to go and do and be big boys and stand up. And so far we've played big boy football, but we've got Everton twice in this run where sometimes the emotion can outweigh the actual game. If we just play everything like a Wolves or an Ipswich or something like that, we win comfortably. You know what I mean? Yeah, you stop thinking about it.
I think the United game at home is a big lesson to learn, because that's a game where we went into and we just strayed away from everything we were doing all season. We let them. We literally got loose on the ball, slow on the ball, let them get the ball into their forward, let people run off them, let do all this all, and it just turned into a bleeding slugfest, and it shouldn't have. I just think when it comes to the league, like Gavin says there, if we win versus Everton, this league is done. Arsenal won't make up a game swing on us. The games are running out quickly for them. Arsenal don't have the balls to win this league. I think I've been of the opinion in ages, like the 9 points seems to be hovering around for forever now. It feels like since the start of December we seem to have been 9 points clear in some way, either 9 points clear or 6 clear with a game in hand. We've never been 9 clear with a game in hand. For me, in all this, and we'll get back to the League Cup in a minute, for me in all this is, if Liverpool were to beat Everton, go 9 clear, right? If that goes anywhere above 9, it's over. If it drops from 9 to 7 or 6, I think it's game on, because there's still enough games to go. Because I know you say momentum isn't there, but it gives you a big boost if, Arsenal, say for argument's sake, are going, oh, we're 9 behind and they beat Everton, but Jesus, they only drew at the weekend. Now it's 7. And Jesus, can we do it one more time and get them to 4 or 5? And can and I'm not right. Maybe you don't believe in momentum, but it's more doubt versus belief, I suppose, kind of comes around. But it's still for me very. It just depends. It's nearly like who blinks first, and we can blink, but they can't afford to. That's the way it feels to me.
Do you see what Sam there said? They dropped all the points that they dropped against. It's unlikely they're going to drop points again to them. You got to think logically here, right? If you've dropped loads of points to poorer sides already in the table, it's unlikely you're going to drop more points to those teams again in the same season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to stop thinking.
They've dropped points. They've dropped points at home to Everton, home and away to Brighton, away to Bournemouth, and away to Fulham. So there's a lot of them will have to go to the Emirates to play. But I keep saying the other bit that you have to,
but Gav, the other bit that you have to factor in as well. Once you get past Everton in April, right? Those games against the Fulham, West Ham, Leicester, Tottenham are liable to beat games against teams that have nothing left to play for. So you get the ball, if you score early on them, the game ends pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Arsenal have the same thing as well. The more everyone thinks about, you're going to play teams at the bottom of the table. It's not. When I get from middle of March onwards, I want to play as many teams as possible in that 8th to 15th range.
Yeah.
Right?
Where they're not in danger.
Nothing to play for.
Yeah. And it's actually a smaller net now, because it's probably 11th to 15th. Because if you're in 10th, you're looking at 8 going and get Conference League, and especially if you're the likes of if it's a Fulham or if it's a Brighton or whoever, they don't traditionally be in Europe a hell of a lot. Fulham, of course, went on a mad run about 10 years ago, but that net is smaller now. I know what you were saying. Years ago, if you were between 9th and 15th, you didn't have a chance of going down. But there was 6 teams there. If you went, Jesus, we're playing all 6 of them in the last 12 games. Great, do you know, the sort of way. And it's really interesting. But I think overall, the only thing that I keep coming back to is, for me, Arne Slot looks like a fella that says, look, don't worry about what they're doing. Simply don't worry about what they're doing. We'll concentrate on what we're doing. Because if we concentrate on what we're doing, the chances are they start worrying about us. And then that's what puts them off. Do you know what I mean? Case in point, we win late at Brentford. And Arsenal players are admitting they're watching the game against Brentford, and they go out then and subsequently draw from 2-0 up against Villa to draw 2-2.
I know, but can I just ask you, on that point, right? If you think about the bottom 4 clubs at the moment, right? Wolves, Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton, right? And there is 10 points between Wolves and the bottom club, Southampton, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 points between Ipswich and Wolves. There's then 7 points from Wolves to Everton, right? Like, the bottom 4 in this league are so bad as a bunch that I don't think they drag anyone above, outside of that top 4 back towards them. I don't think they amass or get enough points on the board to bring any of those teams back towards them. So in reality, that midsection that I'm talking about, it does run from about, let's say, maybe 11th, which is Brentford on 31 points, to Everton in 16th on 26 points. And all the teams that you play in between, in there, have nothing really to play for. You look at Brighton. Brighton are just about on the border of that conference, UEFA conference bid, because they're on 34 points. But they could very quickly fall back into that bunch, right? Because if they get a bad result and Fulham put another, suddenly they're 5 points behind Fulham in 9th. They're not going to bridge that difference because of what they've done over the course of the season.
But like, it's funny you say that, because like you were saying about teams from, or we're both saying teams from, say, 9th to 13th, 14th, or now it's probably 11th to 15th, right? But if you look at the teams down there, like, Everton have won 3 of the last 4, which is fair enough. Moyes has come in and they've got a bounce and stuff. But they still sit on 20, I think it's 26 points from 26 points from 24 games, right? Which is just barely over a point a game, right? Now, recent form will tell you, if you watch them against Leicester the weekend, Leicester are abysmal. Now, abysmal, right? But we have to go to Leicester, right? We have to play Southampton, and it could get to the stage where we're playing Southampton and they genuinely have nothing left to play for, right? We have to go to Leicester, and it could be the same for them. We have Wolves at home, and we've Everton twice, right? So 33% of our games in the rest of this season is against them 4 sides.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So
no,
the bottom 3 down there, we've played Ipswich twice. So 33% of our remaining league games are against a team that has 1 point per game or less. That's the reality of it. Now, if you put 5 wins up there, we're sitting on 71 points.
Yeah, I know.
With 8 games to go.
Yeah. No, listen, I completely agree with you. The issue you have is the mental fact that if your lead grows from 6 points to 3 points, pressure suddenly reappears in that situation, because now you want to get back to your 6 points as opposed to whatever it is. And you know that if you draw the game, geez, 4 points, we've opened the door, they're back in, they're only a point behind, even if you have a game in hand, right? If you don't go and beat Everton, you go, Jesus, it could have been 9 points. It could have given us a 3-game cushion. You know what I mean, in terms of what's there. So when we're talking about this, we've completely ignored the Plymouth game, because literally nobody cares about it. Right? Nobody cares about the Plymouth game. It's the most irrelevant game. I'm serious. I wouldn't even turn up. I'll be saying to Plymouth, best of luck to you lads in the next round. Just have a great cup run.
And Liverpool will go close to that. So, look, I wanted to get your thoughts on the league. You're nervous. I think that's perfectly acceptable. But against that, you're looking at points that can be made up and won and stuff like that. And, like someone said to me the other day, we've 7 league home games left. If you win all of them, you know what I mean? You're on 77 points,
Yeah.
And you've 7.
It's a big ask. It's a big ask to win 7.
It is a big ask. But like going on Liverpool's home record over the last couple of years, if you went out and won them 7 games, you'd have 77 points and you'd have 7 games left, and you probably need 3 wins out of that to win it. It is in Liverpool's favour, but at the same time, and look, people don't rate Arsenal and stuff like that, but I can't fucking stand anything that they stand for anymore. To be fair, I used to think they were an amazing football club, and I've showered them with loads of praise on this podcast for years. But the carry on out with them at the moment is, and I'm even talking right to the club now, right down to the fan base, is off the wall, Matt. Where you nearly
the players.
Everything. You nearly start getting worried for them. But I think it is still sits on that. I think the Everton game is huge. But I think if you go into that, if Liverpool are going into next weekend 9 points clear, and they're saying, right, listen, Arsenal, if you blink once here, you're 11 or 12 behind, and we're not stopping. We're gone. And I think Arsenal will know that as well. But if Arsenal can turn that to 6 or turn it to less than that, they'll feel like, look, we're coming back into this. So it's a bit of a mad. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to the League Cup. We've seen it over many years. I'm a big believer that managers can kickstart a really successful period in their clubs, in their time at a club with a League Cup win. We've seen Jose Mourinho do it in 2005. Who else won their first? There was another one that won their first League Cup.
George Graham.
Their first competition winning was a League Cup.
George Graham.
Maybe it was George Graham. 2000.
Man in the raincoats, white and blue army. That's what they're all saying.
What year was that Spurs won that? They beat
1946.
No, who did they beat? Did they beat Chelsea in the final? 2008, Chelsea,
maybe like Blackburn.
But you see,
Barnsley.
No, it was definitely
Neil Redfern was playing.
No, it was definitely Chelsea. I think
Darren Anderson was playing.
Woodgate was playing for them.
Chris Hodge.
2008 is Ushin, yeah. I knew it was 2008. Ian Wallen.
Gary Mabbitt was playing.
Gary Mabbitt. Jesus, Gary Mabbitt.
It was Coventry. They beat Coventry, and Keith Houchin scored the goal.
What was your man that used to play in midfield for Spurs?
Ivan Leonardson.
No.
Paul Stewart.
No, not Paul Stewart. David Hells, was it? Was it David Hells? Used to play midfield for Spurs. Or we just your
your man Tim Sherwood, he played in the midfield for Spurs.
Remember Naybet done a little stint at centre half of them?
Yeah. And who was the other fella? The man that used to play for them, Klinsmann, he played as well. He's got the winner in that cup final.
Klinsmann. He didn't score a winner in a cup final for Spurs.
He did, yeah. He scored in that League Cup final, and so did Ozzy Ardiles. So did Glenn Hoddle and Chris
2008, Woodgate was at centre back and scored. I always liked him. Yes, there you go. There it was. It was at 2008. And didn't they win one 2001 or 2 against Leicester in a final? I think as well. I think there was a
Finn Janssen.
There was a Janssen or something like that scored. No, there was like a player like that. It was a Scandinavian fella scored for them. I can't remember his name.
And do you remember a man who arrived in on the tube with his ticket?
Martin Yall.
He was the man.
Oh, no, Christian Gross. Christian Gross, yeah.
He won the League Cup with them as well. And Martin Yall, he won the League Cup with them. And
1998 against Leicester it was as O'Shea and Alan Nielsen. That's the one. I had it down around 2000, 2001, but what would I know? It wasn't 2001.
Eltel was the manager just before going. Eltel was manager just before he went to Middlesbrough. But
he
wasn't
going to
be manager.
Do you remember the time? Do you remember the time George Graham? Was it George Graham was like Leeds manager, and he was Spurs manager, and then he went to Leeds or something.
George Graham never managed Leeds.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Telling you now.
When did he manage Leeds?
David O'Leary was his assistant, and then David O'Leary took over from him.
No, David O'Leary, he was managing the young boys there at the club.
But come here, do you remember the time at White Hart Lane when I think George Graham was after being Spurs manager and he went to Leeds, and the ball broke onto the sideline and it was running out and it was a Spurs throw, and he picked the ball up and threw it to the Spurs player to take a quick throw in, and he was fucking managing Leeds. It was fucking brilliant. Yeah, he did. He managed Leeds for about 3 seasons. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, from around 90, I want to say 97 to about 2000ish, in around that time. He definitely done a bit. He done a bit at Spurs as well. But yeah, anyway, back to the League Cup. I know we're just naming Spurs players because that's where we always end up doing stupid things. But if you got to the final, who would you like, Arsenal or Newcastle? Newcastle 2 up in the first leg.
I'm going to be honest. If we got to the final, I'd love to see Newcastle get to the final and win it.
Yeah, we've a fella in here, Dave. He's in the chat quite a lot, and he big Newcastle fan, and he's been saying for weeks really want Liverpool and Newcastle in the League Cup final. He reckons the atmosphere and everything would be amazing. The
last cup that Newcastle won
was a Fairs Cup.
It was the Texaco Cup in 1978. Right, it was a pre-season trophy. That was the last trophy they've ever won. Yeah, right. You can look. Anyone can look it up. I'm being deadly serious about this.
And like the Fairs Cup was around mid-60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the last time that Newcastle won a senior level trophy. And they won it in 74, 75. That was the last time they won it.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because I have a mate who's a Newcastle fan, and he always goes on that he's never been alive to see Newcastle win anything. Yeah. And if I'd love Spurs and the Spurs Newcastle final, because Ange gets to stay on for another season, and we get to see the bit that I like about Postecoglou is that he's actually a really bad manager with a really bad attitude, but because the London press all went in on how much they loved him, they're not backing out, right? Yeah. They're not backing out.
They're dying on that hill.
They're dying on that hill. They'd love to have another Mourinho back. They see him as an Australian Mourinho. There's no one really like Mourinho in the league, so this is close they're going to get to them. And you can just feel like that they'd love to sharpen their nose, but they can't, because if they get rid of him, they're likely to get some nameless faceless person in that's going to have no personality.
They'll probably end up with your man Thomas Frank off Brentford, and he's just such a nice fella that you know he's a nice fella, but he doesn't overstate himself. So that doesn't.
Do you know who I think gets in at Spurs?
Go on.
And you're going to think I'm mad about this, but do you know who I genuinely think gets in at Spurs?
Go on.
I can just imagine he'd be sniffed around White Hart Lane. He'd be like your man. It wasn't Peter, not Peter Love. Who was the fellow who wanted to get the transfer?
Adam Wingy wanted to go West Ham to QPR.
Brendan Rodgers.
Do you think so?
Oh, he would literally, as soon as the Spurs job came available, the lads would be in the office.
Now he done that before because he went from Celtic to Leicester and he wasn't long at Leicester, and the Spurs job came up before. It might have been the Spirito Santo or something took it, and it was all Brendan Rodgers, and he wouldn't deny it. Do you remember Leicester played one night and he wouldn't deny. And everyone in the media was like, he just loved to be in charge of a London club, the big lights, you know. He's back up at Celtic again. And listen, he's gone back to Celtic and they've forgiven him for fucking off the first time. But he'd have no problem with turning around and going, good luck, lads, I'm off again. The big lights of London are calling, and off he goes. Like, honestly, he would.
Character. He'd be off with his character.
He would absolutely be gone. But pick me a team. I'll pick mine after you. Go on, you pick me a team. Seriously, pick me a team for Thursday night.
A Liverpool team to play tomorrow.
Yeah, Thursday night, yeah.
Right. I do not want to see Alisson in goal in any of these two games in any way, shape or form. If you wanted to play Alisson up front in one of the matches, fine, right? But he's not to play in goal at all, right?
Right.
So I'm going with Kelleher in goal because he deserves it. Caoimhín Kelleher deserves to play in every cup competition we have now left, which is just two games, the League Cup and the FA Cup match the weekend, right?
He doesn't play in the first leg, just to let you know.
I know, but Gavin said, pick me a team. I'm picking a team. If anything, Barda's team is picked, I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to Arne Slot and send it in the post, not by email, in the post.
Go on.
Like they used to do in 1986.
Kelleher, Bradley.
Kelleher in goal. Bradley at right back. Kwanzaa and Gomez. And if somebody says to me Gomez is injured, tough, he better just turn up and play, right?
He's back in full training.
Grant. And then Robertson at left back, right? Because I actually think Tsimikas has been better than Robertson in the first team this year. I'm just going to
I think it's a toss-up. It is a toss-up between them, no doubt.
Then I'm going Elliott, Jones, Endo in the midfield.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Then up front, I'm going Núñez, Chiesa, and I would have played Jayden Dance, but the bloody well sent him out on loan, which was really annoying me, right? It was wrecking me head.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick Diaz in because I've no other choice on his shite.
Right. Okay.
I'm still not a fan. I'm still not a fan. Like I'm just, and as the season's progressed, it's been less and less of a fan.
I think he's ended up in a position that suits him in certain games, particularly if teams want to come out and play against Liverpool. If they sit back, I don't think he suits it. Paul Giovanni says he will play Karius, Skrtel, Lovren, John Glenson, Moreno, Lucas,
I know what Paul is doing.
Moses, Lambert, and Perini.
Outside of Alan, Morelos, and Perini, he's just really trying. And Moreno, he's just really trying to wind me up and Lovren either. The rest of the lads now,
you hate all of them,
especially John Glenson.
Yeah, you hate John Glenson.
Back post. Remember what you did with the back post? That ball's coming across. That ball's coming across. That ball's coming across. Where'd your man come from goal?
Yeah. John Glenson, just as his career progressed at Liverpool, he just got worse and worse. The team I'm going to pick is Alisson in goal, Bradley right back, Tsimikas left back.
Why are you playing Alisson in goal?
Because this is the thing, right? I started this show by going, nobody should fucking play. And within 5 minutes I've gone, yeah, but that's too many days between a match. I'm willing to. No, hold on, you pick yours. You pick yours.
He's got hamstrings made of the hard spaghetti you buy in packets, not even the ones that you cook. You know, the dried spaghetti. That's what his hamstrings are like.
Yeah, but I'm playing Alisson. I'm playing Alisson, and I'm playing Kelleher up against Plymouth, because I think this is the perfect game to do what you want, rest what you want against Sunday, and the do what you want on Thursday is to do what you do next Wednesday. So Alisson in goal. Bradley right back, Tsimikas left back. I'm gonna go with. I'm actually going Konate and Van Dijk at centre back. But I'd be open to Kwanzaa. I'm just saying I would be open to Kwanzaa. Midfield
is made of spaghetti.
Midfield, I'm going with Gravenberch. I'm going with McAllister, and I'm going with Jones. And up front, I'm going with Diaz on the left. I'm going Núñez up front, and I'm going Salah on the right.
My God!
And I'm using. Listen to me. I'm fully expecting to be 3-0 up after 65 minutes, and then all the subs come on, and the lads get a lovely run out. We get to the final, and we have rested a load of lads for a third of the game. That's where I am on it. Look, it depends on where you look at it. I've literally swung from one side to the other here, from the start of this show to now. But I can't see a world where Liverpool don't play some of these big players on Thursday and then don't play them again on Sunday. I get your reasoning on it. The league is the league, but I just can't see, for all the technical staff they have and keeping players ticking over and up to speed, I don't think they optimise themselves going into Everton with basically 11 days between a game of football. I just don't think they do. And I know that upsets you, and I'm sorry.
I'm really upset about
You look heartbroken.
I'm broken in half.
Heartbroken. But
broken. I'm just looking at it going,
do you realise we've come on here to do a Spurs preview and we've talked nothing but the Premier League and players that used to play for Spurs 20 years ago?
I know, and El Tel. Get El Tel in.
El Tel. Sorry, somebody said he actually left Leeds for Spurs. Yeah. And honestly, when he leaves Leeds for Spurs, Leeds go to Spurs in a Premier League game and the ball drops on the sideline. Leeds are want to take a quick throw and George Graham helps them because he forgets who he manages. Honest to God, that's what happens. That's what happens with George Graham. El Tel, though, you can't say El Tel without saying Brian Robson, and you can't say Brian Robson without saying Middlesbrough, and you can't say Brian Robson or you can't say Middlesbrough without thinking of Brian Robson in Middlesbrough boots, shorts and socks with a tweed blazer on. We're holding a Newcastle scarf. So, you know what I mean? There's the 5 degrees of separation there. It's still one of the greatest football stories of all time. And me and you laugh about it all the time. It's all fantastic. The time. Do you know who else came into my mind the other day? We're in a members chat.
I'm actually upset. I'm upset with that there's no such thing as player managers anymore. Because remember when they used to be, and Brian Robson is obviously in Middlesbrough is the one that always reminds me. Suit jacket, toy, short the works, right? Yeah. Shorts, shin guards, socks, boots, and the ball under the foot. And that's how you'd be introduced as the player manager, as the new player manager of the club. Amazing. I always had to get so that so visually the news would know this is not just a normal manager. This is a player manager. Do you see the way he has the short?
Do you know what Kev wanted to do? We were talking about the transfer window last night, the last hour of the transfer window, and we were talking about. Kev said, "Look, if you can only sell and buy players in January during the season, right? Basically, you can only sell them during January." He was like, "If you want to sack your manager in September, you can't bring in another manager until January. Unless you're getting them for free and paying no compensation anywhere else." And then the other thing was, if you sack a manager outside the transfer window, which would be August to September, right? Or September to the end of December, automatically you just nominate the player manager. You just nominate a player and he's the player manager from there on in. Now that would be the
everything tried to bend that rule even straight off the bat by nominating 2 player managers when before Moyes went back they had.
Well, in fairness, like one is Seamus Coleman and he's 39, and the other fella was the left back that just used to play guitar a lot. And
Leighton Baines,
and people went on like Leighton Baines was the best left back in the country for 5 years. You're like, no, he wasn't. He was just better than standard at Everton.
I plan on coming on here and talking about how I have no idea who any of the Tottenham players are, right? And that's us after playing. Like I have literally outside of Heung-min Son, I know no Tottenham players. I looked at the list of Tottenham players, right, and I was there going, who are these people?
That's because they've so many injured. Like,
not even that. When I looked at the squad, I was like,
they have their 2 centre-halves injured, right? Their 2 centre-halves are injured. And what happened then was they put a centre midfielder and the other centre-half in. Then the other centre-half done his ACL, so he was out. And now they've brought in some fella from somewhere in France on loan, but the talk is now that the 2 centre-halves might be back. Players missing everywhere. Anyway,
who are they? There's a fella.
Lads.
There's Jiggity Jig, it's Dominic Solanke, right? Yeah. So he's turned up. There you go. I thought he was one of those lads that we used to have that played centre forward for us and then disappeared and never seen them again. But fair play to him.
Richarlison's there.
I thought, is he not retired?
No, Bentancur. You know Bentancur.
No, never heard.
James Maddison. You know James Maddison.
What? No, I thought he played for Arsenal.
No, James Maddison used to play for Leicester.
No, I knew that, but I thought he went to Arsenal,
No, he didn't.
Right.
When he went to Arsenal, he was playing for Spurs. It was Spurs away.
They have a fella called Destiny Udogie.
Yeah, left back. Yeah.
What?
Van der Ven, the centre half.
I honestly, do you know what? I looked at that and I was there going, when I was looking at the players going, no way. Somebody's hit 14 seasons ahead on FIFA 15 and they're all just made up names where they've just taken Brennan Johnson. Like, that's not even, that's random. Used to play for Liverpool in Pro Evo.
Merseyside Red. He used to play for
Merseyside Reds.
Yeah. Pro Evo.
Mickey Van den Ven, again, made up name. He was cycling for Jumbo Visma. Bike there last year.
Van den Ven is back, says O'Sheen. There you go. Reckon Spurs come at us and they'll be up for it, says Jared. All regens according to Phil, says Paul. Yeah, possibly. No, that's definitely what Phil's thinking, actually. Genuinely, Phil just looks at the world of football now and goes, it's all a regen, and then fucks off back to Cycling Magazine.
What happened to the fella that they used to have that was, remember when Kyle Walker left him and he was Kyle Walker Phillips or something like that?
Kyle Walker Peters, he plays for
Manchester Rovers.
No, Southampton. Kyle Walker's gone to Milan to try to get away from all the women he fucking had kids with.
Fraser Forster plays for Spurs.
Yeah, and he's injured as well. The two keepers are injured. You have a fella called Nixie or Nixer or something like goal. Can't remember his name. He's actually decent, the goalkeeper, in fairness to him.
Does Mounty play for these as well?
No. Mounty plays for United. No, he doesn't play for United. He's at Manchester United. He doesn't do anything. He just doesn't play. He just turns up for about 4 games. Says, lads, I'm injured. I'll see you in 6 months. Kinski.
Will Lancashire. Who the hell is Will Lancashire? Like, no, not having that.
No, I think they're all the youngest.
Will Lancashire Will Lancashire plays in the wing for the England rugby team.
Timo Werner plays for them.
No, he doesn't. He just runs.
Yeah, and there's a fella then called
Athletic Club.
There's a fella called Bobby Moore or Johnny Moore or something.
Bobby Moore Peters.
No, it is. It's Johnny. I don't know what his name is. He young player? Is it? It's something more, isn't it? Is it? Have I got that wrong?
This fella. There's a fella here that
Bobby Moore plays for them.
Here, hang on. Luca Jamie Williams Barnett. He couldn't even deal with a double barrel name. He had to get 4 names. Like,
imagine if he was playing the Premier League 15 years ago and you had to pay per letter on the back of your jersey. It was a bit like, remember Venegar at Hesselink? You had to get remortgaged the gaff to get a jersey for the kids. Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore is the fella's name.
Mikey Moore.
But in fairness, Mikey Moore sounds like he's definitely entering the Eurovision for Ireland. You know.
Then there's Radu Dragosin. Isn't that the song?
No, he's the centre half that done his ACL. He got injured. Destiny Udogie is definitely the left back. You've got Archie Gray, who is the son and nephew of the famous
He
Grays
played
Leeds.
He played for England in the 1962 World Cup in Hungary. Right, that's who he is. Archie Gray.
Tom Boland reckons Mikey Moore used to sell cars in Port Ireland. Right, I know. Listen, we have to go. It's fucking 11 o'clock. You're acting the maggot with me now. Yeah, I'm fucking knackered. I just want to go to bed. Right, that has been anything but a preview of Liverpool against Spurs.
Pedro Porro.
Yeah, he's the right back. Will you stop shouting names at me? Basuma.
Pedro Porro is some type of Spanish oats. That's what that is.
Okay, well look, I'm just
get a bowl of the Pedro Porro into you in the morning.
Pedro Porro feels like, would you like this wine? It's a red wine, native to the region. That's maybe what it feels like.
Isn't it mad that Richarlison left Everton to make Tottenham shite?
Yeah, but the biggest weirdest thing about it is that he fucks off on Everton. Like, in that worst time, he just goes, I'm out, good luck. You are shy. And Everton fans still adore him. Like, they're like, if we could just, you know what we should do? We should get Richarlison on loan. The fella has started 1 game all season for Spurs before last week.
He was off at Everton as well.
Lucas Bergvall. He's only a kid.
He is a character in The Bridge, a Danish film noir. About
Kulusevski. You know Kulusevski. Kulusevski's quality in fairness.
I'm looking at a picture here. I don't believe that's what he looks like.
Steve reckons Pedro Poirot, who solves football-related crimes. Now, we know there's only one man that solves football-related crimes, and that, of course, is Steve Bruce, author of 3 huge
It's not
books
Steve
called
Bruce. It's not Steve Bruce.
Striker. What was the name of his books again? Striker, Defender. Striker, and Midfielder. Whatever it was. And, Jesus. Steve Bruce's books were just fantastic.
Sweeper, Striker,
and Defender. Yeah. So there is only one man in football that does solve football-related crimes, and it is
Steve Barnes.
Indeed Steve Bruce.
Remember?
What did he call himself? Steve Barnes, didn't he?
Steve Barnes. It's not me. It's his manager.
I think he might have been like a footballer in it, but he was solving crimes at the same time. And one of the extracts in the book is him driving down the motorway and explaining the interior of his Jaguar.
Football manager, an occasional amateur mortar.
O'Sheen says, does anybody buy any of these books? Do you know it'll cost you about 150 quid to buy one of them books? Because they're not printed anymore. I wonder, do you know what I'd love more than anything else? If it was on Audible and it was narrated by Steve Bruce. It would be...
By Bruce himself?
Yeah, fucking amazing. It'd be amazing. And the forward bit done by, Paul Gascoigne. He does the forward bit at the start, and then Steve Bruce just gets right into it. So there we go. They're impossible to find online.
Because I keep this.
So the Google description, and I can't believe we're doing this again. The Google description of Sweeper is a warren of intrigue featuring Yugoslavian warlords, lesbian prostitutes, Nazi hunting spies, and much, much more. I think Paul's made that up, but it's true. Absolutely close.
Because I have some of this bookmarked for whenever, because every now and then you have to bring yourself back to these books just to remind yourself of
it
what
should never be forgotten. It should never be forgotten. Like the big moments in the world.
Steve Barnes manages Lettersford Town, which happens to be at the same time that Steve Bruce was managing Huddersfield Town. Right?
Of course it was. Yeah.
And then Jordan the book, he's talking about his time at Mulcaster United.
Yeah.
Right, this is Steve Barnes' playing career.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But he also then mixes in
Steve Barnes a fairly
Alex
famous
Ferguson.
rugby referee.
Yeah. But he also mixes in Jordan the books that he's talking to Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. So it's like I think a part of the books Bruce forgets that he's chasing names. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds very much like Manchester United. Oh no, hold on, he's mentioned Manchester United in this, so he's absolutely thrown us the curveball. It was Wayne Barnes, actually. It wasn't Steve Barnes. That was the referee. Just making stuff up. It'd be a brilliant 30 show if Gav just sat there reading them books. I wonder, can you get them somewhere? You have to be able to get them somewhere.
We have to get them somewhere.
And just read
have to get on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you do in the summertime. We don't do any pods about football. You just read. We go back to back with the novels.
Yeah, because it's some, like, honestly, you sent me a podcast of your man that read the books and gave a breakdown of it. I'm presuming you still have the link to that, do you?
I do, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the podcast now. It's
The Spot or something. Yeah, I'll send it on to. I still have it.
Send me the link and I'll throw it into our Telegram group. I reckon you'll find them in PDF format, says Paul. If anyone out there can find me the 3 books from Steve Bruce and get it to me, I would be eternally grateful, and I would genuinely read the book as a show.
And we'll both read them. I'll play the characters in the book, and Gav, you can narrate the book as we go along.
Yeah, it'd be fun. We'd have to do that in person, wouldn't we? We'd have to meet up and do that. We couldn't do it over Right,
it'd be like an acting thing. We can get Steve to come in and do the women or something like that. Right? Release them as member only shows.
And Steve Barnes went out with Marlon Mon main row. Geez, that sounds very like Marilyn Monroe. Don't worry about it, kid. Don't worry about it. He's married to her. Amazon review quote: he once said he's not one for tactics, despite being a football manager, and he's certainly not one for novel writing either. Find me the link to that podcast, because your man actually reads some excerpts from it, and it's just bananas. Like, in the book, he's actually explaining in this novel the interior to his Jaguar. It's Just phenomenal.
Tremendous.
Right, we better go, because I said to you earlier, we're just doing a half an hour. I'm really tired. We've now done an hour. We've done an hour.
We did a half an hour and a half an hour.
Yeah,
right?
we've done 2 half an hours. So you should
as we started to drift back towards Terry Venables and Steve Bruce's and all that. It's just,
do you know what, actually,
do
you know what came into my head? I shouldn't really say this now because it's fucking 11:05. Tino Esprea came into my head the other day. Someone mentioned Tino Esprea to me. Do you remember me and you talked about Tino Esprea a few years ago and the match that he was doing? Remember that?
As a dinosaur. Remember him running around as a dinosaur?
And didn't he strap a traffic cone to the back of or top of a horse and tell his daughter it was a unicorn or something?
Unicorn, yeah.
He had his own range of condoms.
Brandon. Listen, what a legend. Well, that's when we did those great pods where we were just talking about football related random stuff. Cool people, brilliant stuff, the greatest.
Yeah. But you see, I think you should be doing these in person over with 24 cans of something beside us. Just go, right, open the cans, who you want to talk about, and just see where it goes. We might do it at one stage.
Before I go, I'm going to bore everyone to death. Listen to you all, right? I've got my last race because it was delayed from last year, right?
Yeah.
I'm €340 off $2,500, right? I'm just not. I want to get to $2,500 and I'm knocking on the head at that stage, right? Because I've done my bit now at this point in time, right? And it's been great. So everyone spread the word, donate, do everything, force people to. The link's in the description. Get out there and deal for me. £340. Just think about it like Liverpool. If you can throw a tenner in, 35 is throwing a tenner in, we're done.
If 68 is throw a fiver in.
Yep. If 340 is throw a euro in.
60 is throw in 250.
There we go. If Steve Bruce gives me just the earnings off 2 of his books.
Tell you what we do. What? If we get Phil to $2,500, we promise to go and find these books.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Right? We promise to go and find these books and read them. Right? Okay?
Yeah, I'll do the characters. Gav will do the narration of the narration bits because there's loads of it, and I'll do the character.
You have to go
voices.
somewhere where I'm allowed to smoke, though. I wouldn't be able to be out without me smokes now doing this.
That's grand. We could do it. Should add to it? I'll get you a nice. I have a nice whiskey glass you can use. I don't
drink whiskey.
Doesn't matter. We'll just pour some in there to make it look like you're being really refined and elegant with an old smoke in one hand. It's like it's the 1980s.
Ashley says she thinks she found Striker. See, we're on this now. We're on this, right? Just make sure if you think you've found it, get on to us, and it'll be unbelievable. Anyway, we have to go. My eyes are literally closing, right? That has been the Talkin Kop for tonight. That has been some sort of preview towards Spurs, a look at the Premier League, a rundown of all Spurs players in the last 25 years, a mention for Tino Esprea, for El Tel, for Terry Venables, and for George Graham when he actually gave the opposition team the ball so they could take a quick throw, which is still one of the greatest. And best of luck to Liverpool on Thursday, whoever plays. But if Alisson plays, Phil is going to be fucking disgusted. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.
Spaghetti legs.